I'm no different than you. I laugh, I cry, I feel, but I also see things others don't. It's a gift, a burden, a curse. Since I was a child, visions flashed before my eyes. They were vivid, real, sometimes beautiful, often terrifying. People call it psychic ability. I call it my reality. My name is Sarah, and this is my story. It's a story about power, corruption, and the fight for one's voice. It's about what happens when the system designed to protect you turns against you. It's about the chilling realization that freedom is a fragile thing. The year was 2010. Florida was caught in the frenzy of the gubernatorial election. Rick Scott, a wealthy businessman, was running on a platform of economic reform. I watched his campaign rallies on TV, his face plastered on billboards. He seemed charismatic, but something felt off. Then it hit me, a vision, sharp and cold. I saw Scott, triumphant after the election. But his victory felt wrong, tainted. The vision showed a trail of broken promises, of suffering and injustice. I knew I had to do something. I started talking about my vision. I told anyone who would listen about the darkness I saw in Scott's future. Friends grew distant. Family looked at me with concern. Their doubt was like a weight on my chest. I didn't understand. I was trying to warn them, to protect them. Then one morning, two men in white coats arrived at my door. They spoke in hushed tones, their eyes cold and clinical. "We're here to help," they said. But their touch was rough, their words laced with unspoken threats. I was strapped to a gurney, my pleas for explanation drowned out by the wailing sirens. The mental hospital was a sterile, cold place. The smell of disinfectant hung heavy in the air. My room was bare, furnished only with a cot and a metal toilet. The days bled into one another, marked by forced medication and condescending therapy sessions. They called me delusional, paranoid, said my visions were hallucinations, symptoms of a troubled mind. But I knew the truth. I had seen what I had seen. The fear was real. The injustice was real. And my voice was being silenced. Section 5, the right to be heard. I was trapped, lost in a system that treated me like a lab rat. They poked and prodded, analyzed my every word. My pleas for phone calls, for legal representation, were met with blank stares and patronizing smiles. The injustice of it all burned like a fire in my belly. I had a right to speak, a right to be heard. My psychic abilities weren't a disease to be cured, but a part of who I was. The more they tried to suppress my voice, the stronger my resolve became. I would not be silenced. I would find a way to reach Governor Scott. Section 6. A plea ignored, a spirit crushed. After weeks of what felt like a lifetime, I was released. They called it stable, but I felt anything but. I immediately tried to contact Governor Scott's office, desperate to warn him, to share my vision. But I was met with a wall of bureaucracy. Secretaries dismissed me as a crank, a nuisance. My letters went unanswered, my calls unreturned. The weight of my premonition grew heavier with each failed attempt. I felt a deep sense of despair. Was I truly powerless to stop what I saw coming? Section 7. Back to the abyss. The second time they came for me, it was after a particularly vivid vision. I had seen Governor Scott implementing policies that would disproportionately harm the most vulnerable in our state. I felt a surge of anger, of helplessness, that I couldn't do anything to stop it. My outburst, my desperate attempt to warn my neighbor about the impending darkness, was misconstrued. The men in white coats returned, their faces grim, their movements practiced. This time, the hospital walls seemed even colder, the medications even stronger. Section 8. Scars on the soul. My time in the mental hospital left me broken, but not defeated. The experience taught me the fragility of freedom, the power of stigma, and the importance of fighting for what you believe in. It also solidified my belief in my own abilities. The visions haven't stopped. They are a part of me, a part of my truth. I may have been silenced, but I will not be silenced forever. I will continue to speak out against injustice, to fight for those who cannot fight for themselves. Section 9. freedom's light. My story is a cautionary tale, a reminder that the line between sanity and insanity is often razor thin. It's a story about the importance of believing those who are brave enough to speak their truth, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it challenges our perceptions of reality. It's a story about the enduring human spirit, the unyielding pursuit of freedom, and the power of one voice, even when it feels like a whisper against the wind. Because even in the darkest of times, there is always hope. There is always the fight for truth. And there is always the unwavering belief that one day, the light of freedom will shine through,